Now we'll be talking sports that you might have seen with that welcoming slide. We're joined now by Amaju Pinnick, who is the Executive Chairman of Delta State Sports Commission. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, I know that that those who will say off the top of their head that look, it's not been as bad in sports this year as they've had previously. Well, do we have Nations Cup last year? No, we didn't. But we had this year.
Yeah.
And then a good thing we won. And then we also did well with the under 17, and then at least for a start, those two. If not the amount of what role? Let me start from there. The amount of preparation that we put in play in ensuring that we got it. I mean, talking about the leadership of the federation and then the coaching staff themselves.
Yeah, I think they did everything they needed to do in preparing not just those two teams, but all the other teams, all the various national teams, and you can see that for the first time, the national teams qualified for all the FIFA World Cups, And the president, if you recall, in the last summit here in Abuja, after the very abysmal performance of Nigeria at the last Olympics, advocated issue of funding, which was a very key factor. And the NFF have lived up to expectation, of course, in conjunction with the National Sports Commission. There's been a very warm relationship between these two bodies, which used to be a major challenge in the past, So, and when they got it right, they decided at that point that the technical committee, should bring out their programs, which they brought out, and that they look at the program, they discuss and look at the highs and lows and decided at this point, this is what we can do, and this is what we'll be able to achieve. And apart from that, you also know that there's luck, because if you look at Nigeria in the Nations Cup, we're playing against Ethiopia, and we had just 10 minutes to the end of the game, 10 minutes from leaving the Nations Cup. And of course, luck played a very major role, and the name of our president is good luck. So, I mean, there's no way you cannot buy that, there's no way you cannot put that in sports. It's very key, it's very fundamental. And then, because you might have all your preparations, but mother luck will not just be on your side. So I think we have a lucky president. Shouldn't
we also think about taking this to the next stage, talking about having won the under 17 championship? We've done that several times. I think among the highest countries who have won the highest of those medals. How do we get those players to move from that level to the next, ultimately to the national team?
Yeah, you could recall also the president also said when he was receiving the team that he was going to make sure that this same team, they are kept together, and he has done that. I can tell you, they've done that. Even though you hear Ian Acho going for greener pastures, but they are still a team, and they communicate with them through the federation every day. They talk to them, and they make them know that they need a smooth transition. Some will go to the under 21, some will go to the under 23, some will go to the Super Eagles. It depends on where they need the departments in the Super Eagles that they need their requirement. But I can tell you that they are going to be together from now, and of course in 2018 we will now see their vibrancy. We will now see them in their elements at the Russian World Cup, at the World Cup in Russia. And I believe this administration has done well to keep them together, and they might just keep them till 2018.
I'm trying to look at sports programs when you talk about this administration, because we had a drought, a big one in the sport world, to the extent that when we talk about trophies, it wasn't anything we could even put our finger on, because the last time we won trophies for any event, they were getting further and further away from us. And all of a sudden we saw fantastic moments in athletics. We also saw what Blessing of Cadbury did, and we also saw the under 17 and the Nations Cup finally. Perhaps some people would look at preparations and what they have done away from mother luck, which you actually talked about. Let's see if there was any kind of program put in place by the sport ministry to have given us not one, not two, so many other victories in different fields.
Well, you should know that if I'm talking sports, I'm talking very objectively, very scientifically, because this is the first time in a very long time that we have the National Sports Commission come out with a clear-cut program. in terms of developmental, in terms of transition, seamless transition. I give you an example. If you look at NASCOM, rhythm and play, what does it portend? It says, go and play effortlessly, we identify talent. Look at the National School Sports Federation in Ilori. They look at the National Youth Games. All these are clear-cut programs by the National Sports Commission. And now, they are all juniors. Under 17, under 13. And how do you move them, and give them a life in the future? Now, what the National Sports Commission is trying to do, which of course I'm talking to the minister about, is to have some kind of symbiotic synergy between the National Sports Commission and some states that are very strong in certain areas in sports. For example, if you go to Plateau State, even Katsina is not very strong in weightlifting. Plateau is strong in mile and all those distant races. Now, you should have some kind of relationship with them, whereby, because National Sports Commission, as it were, do not have athletes of their own. What they do, they rely on the states and the local counties for these athletes. So you should also groom them and keep them in those places, providing grants for them, and making sure that they go to schools that have sports inclination. You come to Lagos, you look at the ball games, you look at areas of athletics, you look at table tennis, you look at lawn tennis. Lagos is fine boy now, like you guys, fine boy games. You look at all those games and select the best, give them the same kind of incentives, the same kind of motivation. Then of course you come to Delta, the home of sports right now. You look at our areas that are, our approach in Delta of course is holistic. Or we are strong in all areas, but there are some that we are strongest, like swimming, wrestling, weightlifting, Akwa Ibom, weightlifting, Bayelsa, wrestling, all these states.
Athletics.
Athletics, Delta. Delta is clear. If you look at the National Youth Games that was held just a month ago, 106 athletes were identified, promising athletes. Of the 135, Delta State provided 26 in a tournament that had 36 states, 35 states participating. So we are strong in athletics. We've always been winning athletics. Then Rivers, then Lagos. But we are very strong because we have our catchment area in athletics. The same way we have our catchment area in swimming, our catchment area in cycling. So we'll come to Delta. I'm not talking about Delta.
Because we have so many programs for the year. Because I'm trying to look at preparations. I also remember we had the China Skates Cup, and that rhythm and play came just after the China Skates Cup. We saw Mr. President have it launched, and so many children were there. Sometimes you get to see some of these children, and after a moment you don't get to see them again. Well, I'll go back to your state. Looking at how Blessing Okagbare started in school, but she was nurtured and groomed and followed through and through. Have we been able to put in place, a kind of system like the rhythm and play, where we can monitor some of these children and say, we can monitor you till you get into your different grades until you get to the international light?
Yeah, like let me tell you, let me use that as a paradigm shift, in terms of discovering and nurturing talents. Now we have from January till December, we have all our programs: athletics, wrestling, weightlifting, cycling, swimming. Now in athletics, in the last Awatu Relaya, some athletes were discovered. 99.9% of those athletes were the athletes that went to the National Youth Games. Because when we discovered, we nurture. We look at those ones that are very strong. We look at those ones that are gifted. And we, apart from priming and conditioning them, we try to create an platform for them to excel. I give an example with Divine Oduduruwa. I give an example. He was discovered just before the IAC and S.A. Brume. These are two athletes that we've just been able to secure a scholarship for. And they'll be traveling any moment from now.
Do we have that in the national level? Because
you don't need to have that at the national level.
We do, because we do.
No, we don't need to, because
so that we don't keep having
the National Sports Commission cannot have. The National Sports Commission do not have athletes of their own. They rely on the states. So what they can do is identify your athlete in your state and let us motivate them for you. And that's what the minister has said he will do. And that's what he's been monitoring. That he talks to this SA1-on-1, he talks to Divine and the other athletes. That is, they cannot I mean, where do you want to keep them? We are talking about energy, we are talking about power sector, you know, trying to decentralize everything. You are telling them to go and keep athletes again. They cannot.
Do they do something for footballers?
They rely on states. No. If you discover footballers at that level, if, for example, Ian Acho is not traveling abroad, where do you think he will go? He will go to Atlant, and they will monitor him from there. It's the same thing, because they have athletes of their own. So they rely on the states. So that's why I'm saying they must have that kind of symbiotic, very genuine relationship with the state, irrespective of political leanings. But it's very, very key. Where do you want to keep the athletes? They discovered that, did they have a National Institute of Sports where they will keep them in Lagos, in Abuja? No. They will still go to schools. For example, in Delta, we identify some schools that are very strong in certain areas of sports. We keep them there. We nurture them, we look at them, we send coaches to them, and we groom them from there. It's the same thing. That's what I think they are doing. And that's what, and the beauty about this minister is very passionate about wanting to develop sports. And we all know that. I'm not patronizing him. He's very, very passionate. He sleeps, whenever you are with him, he wants to do something new for sports.